You tweeted, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts."
Well, I've heard that phrase for a long time. I don't know where it came from, where it originated. I view that
In
phrase as...
1967, the Miami police...
Frankly, it means when there's looting, people get shot and they die. And if you look at what happened last night and the night before, you see that. It's very common.
Do you have a statement to make about the police that are involved in such police brutality incidents?
Yeah, I didn't like what I saw at all.
Protesters right now are rioting over the death of an unarmed black man in police custody.
George Floyd was arrested by 4 police officers earlier this week. When he was arrested, a police officer put his knee to his throat. George Floyd screamed that he couldn't breathe and he passed out. A few hours later, he died in hospital.
Hey you, how are you? That's good. I'm good too. So, before we get into this topic, I just want to explain that I have a bit of an understanding on this topic because I am currently studying criminology. Am I qualified? No. Do I experience black problems? No. Am I even an American citizen? No. But I think that this topic is one of those topics that the more voices that speak on it, the better, because I think it's just really important to raise awareness. I also think that this is a problem that's not just confined to America. I know the Australian media is like, oh my God, America is so screwed up. Oh my God, like, look what Trump's doing, like, and all this hogwash. But, you know, it is prevalent in Australia as well. I just don't think that it's reported as often. I don't think that people really catch it on their camera or on recording like the George Floyd case was. How can we stop this from happening? What is happening? Let's start with that. To simplify, basically my interpretation of what has happened is that, the overarching problem is police brutality and racism. From my understanding, allegedly what had happened was that George Floyd, a black American 46-year-old man, was arrested in Minneapolis for just possessing what they suspected was a counterfeit $20 bill. And while Mr. Floyd was being arrested, a white police officer called Derek Chauvin kneeled on Mr. Floyd's throat. And despite Mr. Floyd stating, you know, I can't breathe, Chauvin continued to kneel on his throat until he was unresponsive. And I believe there were 2 fellow police officers as well as paramedics that just stood by and did nothing. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that all this happened over a supposedly counterfeit $20 bill. Anyways, so this happened. And now, you know, it's raised concerns of racism and corruption in the police force, and rightfully so, because the only reason this has become, you know, how it is because somebody captured it on their phone and released it. So how can we solve the problem? Well, firstly, I think that police should be screened for implicit biases. We all have them. I think we just need to be aware of them. Hopefully this would solve the problem. I think that there need to be more resources and more education surrounding the difficulties that minority groups face. I also think that it's really good that people are actually uniting on a common problem for once.
What I mean by that is that it's great to see people uniting, so people from all different walks of life and around the world, but it's not great to see violence. Like, I'm not happy about that, but I'm happy that people are coming together to try and solve a problem, even if it's not in the most productive way, because I get that it is an emotional issue, and, you know, people are inclined when they're emotional to act in anger and just, you know, and riot.
But yeah, I definitely think that police should be screened for implicit biases. I think that there should be more audits, independent from the government, because how do you convict? You know, so basically how the system works is that crimes are generally committed against the state and not against another person. So the police is working for the state. When the state is convicting, why would they accuse themselves of a crime? So I think that there definitely needs to be an independent party regularly auditing the functions of police and people who are meant to be protecting society. So yeah, audits, implicit bias, screenings, better health resources, awareness for police brutality. And I think that Australia should be looking at what has happened as well, because a lot of people I've heard have said, you know, it doesn't happen in Australia, but it does. I'm currently writing a report on how people are treated within prisons, and it's absolutely atrocious. And that's just one report, and there are about 100 cases, over 100 cases just in this one report. So, you know, it's not just an America problem, this is a worldwide problem, and we need to be thinking about ways to address it. And I think that people need to try and be peaceful, and that's hard to do because, you know, it's such an emotional issue. I don't think the death penalty is the solution here. I think the solution needs to be a systematic change.
Systematic meaning that multiple agencies need to play a part in the solution. So that means healthcare. There needs to be equitable healthcare to people of minority groups. There needs to be, obviously, the police department, the law, us as a community. Everybody needs to play a part in this, because this is a deep-rooted problem. This isn't just one case of police brutality due to racism, and it would be a disservice to every single other victim of police brutality if we only focused on George Floyd.
What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to, you know, let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep trying to figure out how we can make this world a better place for everybody, not just the privileged. Bye.